Hey guys, Chris here. So this is the first video of 4 that I will make about the Hyatt hotels in New York. And so I will look into the Grand Hyatt, the Andaz on Wall Street, Andaz on Fifth Street, and the Park Hyatt in New York, or Manhattan rather, to show you which ones you should choose for your New York trip. So in this video we will look at the Grand Hyatt, and oh boy, there's a lot to talk about. So first of all, the Grand Hyatt is a category 5 hotel. So Hyatt has 7 categories. This one's category 5, which is comparable to, for example, the Grand Hyatt in Singapore or the Andaz in Amsterdam. So stay tuned to see why I was disappointed with the hotel and why I would not recommend you to stay in it. So for context, I've stayed in many Hyatts all over the world, including like such absolutely great hotels like the Grand Hyatt in Kuala Lumpur or Hong Kong. And I've certainly built up kind of an expectations about what to expect from Hyatt hotels, and especially Grand Hyatts. At the same time, of course, I do understand that when you travel to the US, you kind of have a bit of a lower expectation when it comes to service and your hotel experience in the first place. However, I was still heavily disappointed with what this 5-star hotel was offering to my family and me. So let's start right away and look at the positive things first. So first of all, the hotel has a lounge, which is rather uncommon in the US, and it's very good actually that they have it. So it's on the 16th floor. They even have a little balcony area, as you can see. And everyone with a certain status or a certain hotel room category gets access to it. Now you can get a couple of snacks, the usual coffee, water, some soft drinks around the clock. Additionally, around 6 to 8 p.m. you have this kind of dinner hour where they offer 2 hot dishes or snacks that you can have as well. However, it was a bit weird that while they offered alcohol such as beer and wine, you actually had to pay for it, which is, I know it's a bit of a common thing in the US, but it is unheard of basically in the rest of the world, and especially in Asia, even in the same hotel brands. Now, design-wise, the lounge is really nice. While it might be sometimes a bit crowded, the design is very nice. You have plenty of seating indoor, which is kind of very chilling usually with the AC, as well as outdoor seating areas, which was great. We were there during July, so sitting outside was fantastic. Even though you don't have a view, because the lounge is basically enclosed by the building itself, but still it's nice to sit outside. Even better is that you can have the breakfast in the lounge as well. So I really like that, because while the breakfast was a bit limited in choice and in option, it was not as crowded as downstairs in the restaurant where usually everyone gets his breakfast. And again, you could sit outside, and in the summer at 9 or 10 a.m. it's just beautiful to sit outside if the weather is good. The only downside was that there didn't seem to be any options to order any kind of hot dishes such as waffles or pancakes, which is usually common in such hotels. Okay, let's get to the second and very big advantage of the hotel. It's the location. The Grand Hyatt is located right next to this Grand Central Station. It's just a small foot walk, basically 2 blocks to Fifth Avenue, to Bryant Park, the Museum of Modern Art, and Central Park. So the location is fantastic, especially if you're not familiar with Manhattan and what to see and what to do. It's great to be in the Grand Hyatt, because it basically is close to most of the things that you want to see when you come to Manhattan. And finally, something that was a bit of a novelty for me is the marketplace. So the Grand Hyatt has kind of a shop, a little kiosk built inside the hotel, which is open 24/7. So you can always go there and refresh your snacks. The prices are better than what you usually see with the minibars in these kinds of hotels. So that's a great thing. Okay, so that's basically it with the good parts, because now we have to talk about the bad parts. Oh boy. Now, I have to stress that there was not a single big thing that kind of had me disappointed with my stay. It was more that there was a lot of smaller issues with the hotel itself and my experience that kind of added up. Now, first things first. We had a kind of a larger suite on the 23rd floor in the hotel, so I was there with my parents. And I have to say that the way they distributed the space was really weird. Now, I understand that in New York, and especially Manhattan, space is very costly, and so you want to make the best use of your space. So that was why I found it so weird that basically the entrance area of the hotel room and also the living room area was basically kind of wasting space. It was very large, which itself is nice. But then when you entered the bathroom, it was just tiny, like ridiculously tiny. It was basically like, I don't even know, it was like 10 square feet. It was absolutely tiny. The shower, I could barely turn around, and it just felt completely cramped. And that is really weird, this kind of decision to give this really big entrance hall, a big closet, and a big living room, and then make the bathroom so small. What is even weirder is that the bathroom is actually described on the Hyatt website as a spacious and luxurious bathroom, and I don't really agree with it. I don't know if they have other room categories that have bigger bathrooms, but this was quite a disappointment. Now, the condition of the bathroom was also a bit of a letdown. The hairdryer, for example, looked really worn down, and I could barely get the cable out of the device. So basically the cable got stuck halfway and I had to dry my hair right next to the power outlet. Just a bit inconvenient. Now, something I really don't like is that they gave us basically a soap bar instead of a shower gel in the shower, and I just think that's a really bad idea if you have more than one person using the shower. I think it's more hygienic to use shower gel, and it's probably also more sustainable because you can basically just refill these kind of shower gel thingies. Other than that, there were zero amenities. There was no toothbrush, razor, or whatever you usually find in a hotel room. Oddly enough, there was this little container which kind of looked like it should have amenities in it, but it was just empty. So I don't know if they just forgot to fill it or if it was just decoration, but it was a bit odd. A smaller thing, and maybe that's just me, but I really don't like to see 2-ply toilet paper in a luxury hotel. I'm sure there are better ways to get in touch with my inner self. And lastly, there were no kind of international power outlets or power outlets with a variety of voltages. So basically what you usually see in hotels are these kind of international plugs where you can plug in pretty much any plug of your device, like your electric razor, electric toothbrush, and it works. They didn't have that, so it was a bit annoying to get the electric toothbrush to actually charge because it was just a low American voltage. And that's kind of weird to me because from what I could tell from seeing other guests, it didn't look like the hotel actually was only focused on American guests. So half of the guests were actually, at least appeared to be, Chinese or Japanese tourists. Now, coming back to the room, we have to talk about the noise insulation. And oh boy. Now, I understand that New York City is a busy city, and of course you can hear ambulances and police cars, or rather the sirens of them, the whole night, which is fine, but I don't understand why they don't improve the noise insulation, improve the windows so you don't hear that every night. And while I'm able to blend this kind of noise out usually at night, what was a bit of a problem was the noise insulation towards the hallway of our hotel floor. So basically the hotel door didn't shut out any noise that's coming from the hotel hallway, and so whenever you had guests walking around outside, closing doors, or even using their hotel rooms, you could really hear a lot. And it's super annoying. I'm sure you all had this experience when you have other hotel guests who use the TV on a very high volume at night, or who shower at night or come home late at night, and you can really hear that. And that is something that doesn't really give you a relaxing stay in the first place. And I cannot even blame my fellow hotel guests, because basically even walking in the hallway was already really loud. So I think that was just the mistake of the construction of the building in the first place. One final comment is about the AC. The AC was basically right next to the bed, which is nice if you want to have it cool at night. I totally understand that. But it's not as optimal if you want to have it cool in your living room. Basically, as you can see that the bedroom and the living room are one big area, but if you want to have it cold in the living room, you had to crank up the AC to a super high degree, which meant that in your bedroom area it would be freezing cold. So that's something that they could maybe work on. Now let's get from the room towards the lobby. And if you've ever been to a luxurious hotel, you probably enjoy just sitting around in the lobby there on one of these comfortable couches or chairs and just watch people coming and going. Also, usually when you're there with a group of people, the hotel lobby is great as just a meeting point before you head out, or if you have to wait for an Uber, to just wait for your friends there. But with the Grand Hyatt, it was a bit disappointing because there was basically almost no seating area at all. Rather, the check-in area was really big. And I don't mean the staff or the reception itself, but the queuing area. So they were probably expecting big tour groups or something, but it just took away pretty much all of the space in the lobby. And right next to the check-in area, there was an event space, which was busy most of the time, but which also made it feel a bit more constricted than it had to be, this kind of lobby area. Now, the bar would have maybe been a good relaxing area if you don't want to sit in the lobby and just spend some time inside. Unfortunately, in the bar, as it is common in America and a lot of other countries, they crank the AC up to a massive degree. So even though I'm not very sensitive to temperature, even I had to wear a sweater in there, which I don't understand. Like, what's relaxing about that? Anyway, the service at the bar was really, really bad. I went there a couple of times with my dad, and we waited at least 10 minutes every time to get the attention of a waiter. It didn't seem like they were really busy. They were just basically standing behind the bar, not really doing anything, maybe like talking to each other or to a guest, but that's just not acceptable. Now finally, let's talk about the services. Usually, as with a certain status, you get certain perks. That's the case for pretty much all the Hyatt hotels. And so what you usually see is, for example, that you get a couple of bottles of water in your hotel. Now, the Grand Hyatt in New York chose to do it in a different way. Basically, you remember the kiosk I talked about that was in the hotel? As a guest, it was your duty, or basically your responsibility, to get the bottles of water from there and take them up to your hotel room. This is basically just lazy, in my opinion. If you have people cleaning and making the room, why not just send them out with a couple of bottles of water? Basically, that's how every other hotel in the world does it. And I don't know why the hotel required guests to go down there and pick up the water bottles by themselves. And you had this kind of small paper card that you had to bring so that the clerk at the counter could mark that you got your daily dosage of water. It was just a really inconvenient idea, and it seems like such a small thing, but for the guest experience, it's really bad. And now finally, just a really small point, but it takes home the point that I'm trying to make. I saw that if you wanted to actually store your luggage with the hotel for when you already check out, but your flight maybe goes later, you usually can give the hotel your luggage and pick it up later. And for some reason, the hotel was charging per piece and per day. It was $3, so it was not even much. So I don't understand why you would do that instead of just giving the guest a better experience. This can hardly be something that costs the hotel a lot. And it's the same with the alcohol in the lounge. Like, why don't spend this little amount of money, maybe put it on top of the price for the room and give the guest a better experience. So this is the first video talking about the Grand Hyatt. Like you can see, I'm not a big fan of it. I was really disappointed, especially comparing it to other hotels outside of the US. So if you have the chance, don't go there. In some of the next videos, I will talk about some other hotels like the Andaz on 5th Avenue, and you will see why I would actually recommend you to rather go there than to the Grand Hyatt. See you later.